Thank you.
But when we started getting to table wines in a serious way, we had to start getting new barrels in like this in from France. And the reason we get barrels like these is these are oak.
2023, I realized
ඔන්න අද අපි ඇවිල්ලා තින්නේ Berba Croatian Harvest Celebration Festival එකට. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක වයින් වලට අදාළ ෆෙස්ටිවල් එකක්. මේකේ වයින් ටේස්ටිං තියෙනවා, වයින් ටුවර්ස් යන්න පුළුවන්, වයින් හදන විදිහ බලන්න පුළුවන්, ඒත් එක්කම බැරල් රෝලින් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේ එක එක වයින් වලට අදාළ ගොඩාක් ඇක්ටිවිටීස් තියෙන තැනක් තමයි මේක. ඔයගොල්ලෝ බලන්න දැන් අපි මුලින්ම වයින් ටේස්ටිං වලින් පටන් ගන්නවා.
Yeah, we came here for the wine tasting.
Of course. And wine tasting is $5 per person today. It's
Okay.
on a good price, and you've got everything open, so you can pick any 5 that you want.
And I saw there's wine tours as well. I want to go one of them.
Oh, of course. The wine tour will be in about 9 minutes.
It's starting here?
We'll start just at the front,
Okay.
and it's 15 per person.
That will be enough. So we'll first do the wine tasting. She'll do the.
I'm good one testing and then he's going for the tour.
Yeah, yeah.
like champagne. It's like champagne, but we can't. It's made the same way. You can only call it champagne. You buy it from champagne. This is actually our rosé. So we put a little bit of Pinot Noir, which will give it its colour. It's nice and fresh. It's pink, so it's from the Pinot Noir. So it's like the rosé. What do you think? Strong. I like that. It is a really good celebration and drink as well. It's a good sharing wine, sharing amongst friends and family. It's sparkling, yeah. So then you see through this window here, all these bottles on the right. That's champagne. So it's done like that. All the sediment goes to the bottom. We then freeze it and pop it, and then we set it again, let it dry, and then label it. Next one, this is our new Pinot Gris. So this is the grape that we grow here on site, directly behind us. It's a whole 35 rows of it. Nice and crisp, very light in colour. Here's well with seafood. This is from our vintage last year. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite nice. Have you tried any of our New Zealand wines before?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have a favourite?
I last year, but I don't remember the name.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of wines to try. Yeah, so this is the grape that we grow here. Our next one, New Zealand's most famous wine, we know it for Sauvignon Blanc. This is from the region of Marlborough, so the top of the South Island. This is from last year's vintage. It's quite fruity, so it's a little bit of a step up from Pinot Gris. I quite like it, it's very crisp. It's a little bit more fruitier, a little bit sweeter than Pinot Gris as well.
Okay.
Not much is wrong.
What do you prefer to? You like the Pinot Gris? Yeah. Do you like red?
Yeah.
Have you thought anything outside of Pinot Noir? Have you tried other red wines like Syrah or Pinotage?
I have tried.
Not too so, yeah. That's fine. Okay. This is Pinot Noir from Marlborough as well. 2023. I really like this one. Normally, Pinot is very good pairing with red meat. Very good. Then we'll finish with port. So this is a fortified wine. It is sweet, strong enough. It's finished with brandy. So it's a red wine top with brandy. A good nightcap, really good with your cheese together, especially with your cheese. I'll give you a little bit of this. Yeah, you can smell it as well.
Yeah.
I like when people sniff it, they're like, whoa.
So
It is sweet, yeah. It's really nice. A good little nightcap drink. Not a fan of wine?
Not much,
Yeah.
but she'll select something to what we need to bring home.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Auckland.
Oh, you are from here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
and this one is also so good. You need to go.
Okay, I will
Are
go
you
there
on
too.
wine?
Yeah, I
Have
just
you
go.
booked it?
I have booked it.
I really
I'm glad you got to get your wine tasting in. Enjoy
Yeah,
the tour.
she just want to do that.
A little bit of a history lesson first, how did winemaking come to New Zealand? Well, winemaking left Europe in many avenues, like Germans went to South Australia, Italians went to California, happens to be the Croatians came here in Argentina. So the Croatian immigrants were the people that got the New Zealand wine industry going, and our families were one of those early families in the wine industry here. I always reckon that the Croatians not only brought the art of wine making, but they also brought the art of wine drinking, which is kind of important. In the early days in New Zealand, of course, the majority of immigrants were from the United Kingdom. Extremely good immigrants, but wine drinking wasn't part of their culture. So we had to educate them on the virtues of drinking wine, how important it is to your health to have 2 glasses a day. Keeps the heart going well, so keep it nice and clean. And so that's the background. So our family came here in 1927. My grandparents had 5 children. One was my father, he was 15. And when they made a little bit of money, my grandfather bought a property near the end of Lincoln Road and started a small winery there in 1932. And then in 1937 there were too many people in the family, so Dad bought his own bit of land up the road from his father. And we were on that site until 2002 when this place disappeared. So we're the 3rd oldest winemaking family in the country. The other 2 are close by. The oldest is Pleasant Valley and Henderson Valley Road, and Babbage is the 2nd oldest. We're 3rd on the list. But winemaking, commercial winemaking started in West Auckland, housed around Henderson primarily. And when I was growing up in Henderson in the 50s, there was 83 wineries in West Auckland, and 75 were Croatian families. So the Croatians had Dalmatians. You call us Dalmatians, call us Dallies. Dalmatia is the coastal area of Croatia where majority of the immigrants came from. So that's the background. The vineyard is the most important part in the whole winemaking process. Good wine is made in the vineyard, not in the winery. The winery can only do with the grape juice the quality of the grapes. So we spend a lot of time making sure we get the grapes of the highest quality we can. Makes the winemaking an easy job at that stage. So what we do nowadays, one of the biggest changes is what grapes we grow where. Not all grape varieties are going to grow extra good in all regions. So up here we grow mainly Chardonnay and Pinot Gris and a bit of Pinotage, which you'll eat later over there. Those 2 varieties grow really well up here. In Gisborne we grow aromatic varieties, Gewürztraminer and Muscat. In Hawke's Bay we grow all our heavy reds, Merlot, Cabernet, Malbec, Syrah, as well as Chardonnay. And we grow Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Noir and Marlborough. But all the winemaking is done here on site. And we've only just started. This is our first week of picking this last week, so we've only just started on it. So it'll just come, we work down the aisle a couple of things about vineyards you may not have thought about. Vineyards are always planted north-south. Okay? Vineyards are always planted north-south, or as near as possible as your land allows, and not east-west. The reason we go north-south is because of the sun. We want the sun to get on both sides of the rows. So photosynthesis is really important in the ripening of the berries. So hence we're always north-south. And this is an ideal site, this one here, because the vineyard's named facing north too, which is spot on. The traditions we have is roses on the end of the rows of vines. Now, it's a French tradition, and it started off, it had a reason. The old growers in France realized that a rose bush and a grapevines get the same diseases, black spot and mildew, but a rose bush is more tender and it's always going to get it first. So they planted roses as an indicator for disease. So they'd keep an eye on the rose bush. If it looks like it's getting diseased, then they'd spray the vineyard. That's not what we do it for today. We plant them for the tradition. It is really, it's interesting. Anywhere in the world you go, you see roses on the end of the road. We're all following that same tradition. The other thing about it is you should be able to tell the colour of the grapes by the colour of the roses. Okay? So if you see red roses, you're going to say red grapes. Yes, you were right. You were right. This was a Merlot block to start with. I planted this as Merlot, this block here, and but the Merlot never really grew as good as we expected. So we top grafted them over. So if you look at one like this was the Merlot coming up here, but we top grafted the Chardonnay on the side. So you'll see on all of them there's a Merlot coming up here. Chardonnay. So we change the variety. Rather than dig them all out and to replant them, for a start off digging them out is a devil of a job, and replanting them it means you've got to wait 4 more years before you get a crop. Top grafting, we top grafted, and so we lost 1 year and then we had a crop. So, because all your root system's in place, see, and it worked very well. The age of the vines were perfect for it too, so it wouldn't be done it. So there you go. So the nets are all ready to take off, and we get rid of the nets for a while, and they don't have to worry about the birds, and all is well.
Wine tour එක යන කට්ටිය.
See lots of olives on here, really good crop of olives. It's a good year even for olives, which is quite amazing. I did, when we planted the trees, we planted some here and some on the other side of the vineyard, with the idea of doing some cold pressed olives and making some olive oil, but in the end I gave up. I mean, it's hard enough to keep the birds off the grapes, let alone off the olive trees. You've got to try to wrap them in netting, it's impossible. So I gave up. I decided I don't need any more stress. I'll buy my olive oil.
Okay, to bubble it up, so we're okay. But yeah, for like a week and a bit.
While the vineyards have changed a lot and where we grow grapes, wineries have changed dramatically as well. Enormous changes. If you look back to, even when I started working in the winery, everything was wood. We had lots of big wooden barrels. The whole place was just wooden barrels, and we had open top wooden vats that we used to ferment in. In those days, like all the industry in New Zealand here, we made sherry and port. That's really what got the industry going here. Why do we make sherry and port? Because the English immigrants knew what sherry and port was. So with all the big wood barrels look great. The wineries look fantastic. They look like a winery, they smell like a winery. Where wineries today are really far more clinical and lots of stainless steel. It probably doesn't look as good, but I wear my winemaker's hat. I'll say, heck, I like stainless steel. You buy it once, you've got it for life, and it's great. So if you look at winemaking, it comes in 2 avenues. You've got white winemaking or red winemaking. So the ability to make red and white table wines required a whole change in technology. So the old barrels, that wasn't going to do the job. So fortunately in the 60s, stainless steel became available for making into tanks. And they started making them first for the dairy industry and started making tanks. Stainless steel became available for wine tanks. Stainless steel came in, barrels went out. Wine styles changed from fortified wines to table wines, and that was the change of the growth for the whole industry. Don't tap any tanks if they're all barrels. One thing, if people do that, it's a temptation. You have to tap a tank or tap a barrel. So, I wonder what this sounds like. But you might be in for a big surprise if you tap the wrong thing, because you can imagine if a tank of wine if it's fermenting, it's like a big bottle of champagne, for instance, okay, full of bubbles. And you know what happens if you shake a bottle of champagne? If you ever watch the Grand Prix, they shake the bottle and squirt it all around the place. Same thing can happen to a tank or a barrel if it's fermenting in there. You can break the gas from the liquid and it'll pour out through the manhole at the top. Unbelievable. So just a warning, otherwise you would have a shower, an unexpected shower. The yeast, and will it improve or will it not? No, so you need to take on it. Well, it's in the late 1800s, the government had a research station in Tijuana, and the research station. This is fermenting in this tank here, so you can just feel how cold it is if you like. It's probably running at about 11 degrees. And you can smell in here, I forgot to tell you, you'll smell the yeasty fermentation in here. Beautiful, it's lovely, you just about eat it, it's that nice, this yeasty bouquet. I mean, this is the most interesting time to be at a winery because you can actually smell what's going on. In the morning, I come first thing in the morning and open the door to let the gas out because this is pumping out CO2 all the time here, and it's not so good for breathing if you get too heavy a concentration. So you're right here. Just enjoy the bouquet of the yeast and everything like that. So if you want to, by all means, taste it, feel how cold it is, but don't whack it. So when I mentioned before how we had a whole lot of barrels when we were making fortified wines, and then we got rid of the barrels and we got in stainless tanks. But when we started getting to table wines in a serious way, we had to start getting new barrels in like this in from France. And the reason we get barrels like these is, these are oak, is so we put the wine in barrels like these, so we leach out the oak tannins into the wine. And the oak tannins give you bouquet and flavour. Really, really important. So the only way you can do it is get a barrel, put the wine in there, and it'll take up the oak characteristics out of it. These are called barriques. They hold 225 litres or 300 bottles in each. They cost us about $1,800 each now, I think, a barrel like this. So it's pretty expensive. They have a life of 5 years. So all the time the wine is sitting in here, it's leaching out the oak tannins. So after 5 years, you've thinned it out. You can still get oak characteristics out of it, but for table wines, you want to try to flick it over in a couple of years' time. So we will put port in the summer. We'll age for another 10 years of port, but otherwise we just cut them in half and sell them for tubs. So it's really important kind of thing. So when we're buying barrels like this, we can select the cooperage. There's no coopers in New Zealand. Coopers are the people who make barrels. There's no coopers in New Zealand. There used to be one. The last one I can just remember going to with my father was in Kaiba Pass, right opposite where Lion Breweries was. They had a cooperage there. It's an old trade. Making barrels is an old trade. So we can select the cooperage. We can even select the forest that the oak comes from. You get it from Allier, Vosges, Limousin, Central France, many forests in France you can select from. And the different forests can give you different characteristics. It's all to do with the elevation that the tree grows on and the tightness of the grain. It gets pretty technical, but a lot of people spend a lot of time on selecting those particular forests. And then they're toasted inside. Barrels are toasted inside. This is a used one, but it still gives you the idea. So when they make a barrel, they make it as a cylinder, open on both ends, and they light a fire in the middle. Nowadays it's gas fired, but years ago they used to burn all the shavings from the woodwork factory. And the flames just singe the oak, so you can get light toast, medium toast, heavy toast. If you're making whiskey or bourbon, you'll char it, so it's like charcoal, because that's the characteristics that they want in their product. For wine, You just toast it, so it's just like making a piece of toast. That's all you do here. Helps to seal the wine, but imparts a character in a finished wine as well. So this is called a stave. In days gone by, they were all made by hand. Nowadays, they're all made by computerized machine. So the matching is perfect. You never get leakers nowadays because the computer can't get it wrong. You know, it's going to make it perfectly. So nowadays, they're really spot on. What we also make, as you might see over here, this is method traditional. In New Zealand, it's not called champagne because champagne is only made in northern France. Nowhere else in the world makes champagne, but we make method traditional. It means wine by the traditional method, and we got it. It's really, New Zealand climate is perfect for making methods. We're a cool climate winemaking country, and so we get really nice balance of wine and acid in the finished product. So when you're looking at making those wines, first off, ours is 100% Chardonnay, and we'll ferment it in this stainless tanks. When the fermentation is finished, we'll fine and filter that wine so it's brilliantly clear. Then we want to bottle it and get a secondary fermentation inside the bottle. So for that to occur, we add yeast and sugar into this tank of wine. We mix it up, we bottle it, put a crown seal on the top like that, lay it in bins, and we leave it sitting there for at least 2 years. It ferments for about the first month. In that month, the yeast will eat up the sugar. When the sugar's all gone, the wine will be charged to about 60 pounds pressure in here. And then the yeast dies and falls to the bottom and forms a sediment in the bottom. And we leave it sitting on there, and that's where it gets its nice yeasty character, bouquet and taste. So when you want to get around to selling it, we've got to go through this procedure here, which is riddling, which is turning the bottle, which you turn twice a day to turn. And it takes about 2.5 weeks for the sediment to work its way right down to the neck and leave your sediment down here and your wine 100% clear. Thank you for that. See the sediment in the bottom of that there? Yeah. It's not; these are not finished, but you can see, you get the idea of how much is in there.
Yeah.
Okay, there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So once you've got it riddled down, so all your wine's 100% clear, and your sediment is right down into the neck. To get the sediment out, we freeze the neck. We stick it into glycol at -24 and freeze the first inch. So then you turn the bottle up the right way. Leave all your clear wine here. Have your ice block of it in the neck here, which is locking in the sediment. Then we lay the bottle over, flick off the crown seal, and the pressure inside shoots out the ice block. It pop, gets rid of your plug of ice. Then we put the cork on and put the wire on the top. We chill it down before we do that. We don't do it at this temperature. We put it in a cool room and chill it right down to about 3 degrees so that the gas is locked into the liquid, but just enough to push the cork. So the next thing is how you take the cork out. So I'm going to tell you how to take the cork out, and the reason I tell you how to do it is because everyone has to learn how to do this, otherwise you can have accidents. Thumb on the top, undo the wire, grip the wire and the cork, hold the cork, turn the bottle. So your cork will come out in your hand like this. Okay, thumb on the top. Do not take the wire off the cork. While you're fiddly diddling around trying to take the wire off the cork will shoot through, and so you'll get a big surprise. Okay, undo that. Hold the lock, turn the bottle.
Oh, right.
Right. Safety. Safety. These are port. Port's always the best thing to keep for a long period of time because it's a high alcohol it's going to keep. You can't rely on red wines or anything. So these wines have been in there from the year of their birth, and the two girls, and it'll probably be there forever because they don't going to drink much. I try them a couple of times a year and make sure they're sound, and but it's pretty unique. So they're all Martinot brandy barrels that my father had a heck of a lot of them. So yeah, it's something different. This is my grandson Tyler. Tyler's this is Denise. That's his sister-in-law. Tyler's the 5th generation of our family to be involved in the wine industry here, and we're pretty chuffed with that. And it was a matter of it wasn't lassoed and tied to a post and said this is what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life.
But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the tour. So we're going to try a couple wines. Well, a couple wines. The first thing we're going to taste is Novavino new wine. The reason why we have Berba this time of year is because we're harvesting. It's a big celebration for us. We're picking the grapes, all that hard work is paid off, and the season begins. This first sample you can try. Do grab a bit, have a taste, have a smell. This is Pinot Gris grape juice. We picked this Monday, so 6 days ago.
Is that the one that gave us it?
Fermentation kicked off Thursday night, Friday morning. So there's probably about 1% alcohol, maybe 1.5% alcohol at this point. Juice. It's juice, but there's about 1% alcohol.
Right, that's good.
So a lot of sweetness there, but just from the grapes. Just from the grapes. So a little bit of fizz, a little bit of effervescence there, a bit of yeast in it, but very sweet. It's very grape juicy. Something you can only try this time of year. I'd be sure to say it's probably the first wine from 2025. Kids can if they're shirts out, 1%. 1% alcohol.
Where do we buy this?
You can't buy this.
Oh, that's perfect for me because I don't drink that much.
Yeah, it's really nice. But only it's in process at the moment. So if you came back in 2 days' time, it would be different. If you were here yesterday and tasted it, it will be different. So it's changing daily. So we can't stop it at this point. It's just something that happens naturally. These grapes we kindly picked for you last year on the 29th of February, so 1 year and a couple of days ago. And this is going to be very similar to what this juice will turn into. So if you want to taste the Pinot Gris as a finished wine, this one finishes on 12% alcohol. Definitely not for kids, this one. But really soft, really delicate. You might get some of the similar sort of appley, sort of peary notes, but do have a taste of the Pinot Gris as a finished wine as well. All harvested here, so nice and low.
Say that Pinot Gris, when will it be at its optimum?
For drinking? For drinking, yes. Now, Pinot Gris within the first 2 years of cooking is I'm not going to say all for Pinot.
Então aí, vai secar aqui, vai? Alright.
Picture New Zealand in the early days of winemaking when there wasn't machines to do crushing and that sort of stuff. If you look at even some traditional places in Europe that still do it the same way today. So the way they crush the grapes, when now we have a machine, we put all the grapes through, fires all the stalks out, rolls the grapes, does all that sort of stuff. The only way of doing it before was manually with your feet. And so the idea of crushing with your feet is you do it always bare feet. You never do it with shoes or anything on because that would crush the seeds inside. The seeds would give you bitter tannins. So it was always doing it with feet. And so in a winemaking family, this is a vintage time, it was a big thing. So there we have today Berba. Berba means vintage, it means harvest time. So harvest time is a time of celebration. And in Croatia they always have, you know, it's really happy to start, happy to finish kind of thing, vintage. it's really good. But it's a time of celebration, so that's why we're here. Every this time of the year we have Berba, so that people understand the background of New Zealand wine industry. So today we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. All right, we're going to have feet stomping, and so the way to do it is my grandson here. So the idea is you 2 people in a barrel at a time, and you walk around like this, and you'll find you just gently squash them. You don't go splunk, splonk and splash it all everywhere. You just gently squash it. Now what you want to see is what it starts off like, and at the end how much juice is in it. You'll get 1 bottle per kilo of grapes. So you'll find the juice will be, these are really juicy. These are pinotage, ideal for doing it. They're good enough to eat too, so no problem. So we're going to have kids in this one. Kids in this one. Any others? So do you see how I explained it, how to do it? So what you're going to do, these are beautiful grapes that we're just going to... One thing you should know, I won't be using the grapes. I'll put some more grapes in for you.
More grapes coming in. More grapes in you.
Oh wow.
Maybe you want to go with rocket?
Close up.
Can we get a photo together?
Smile here.
Doesn't he look at the corn?
Oh, there we are.
You met them on. You've done that. Oh, fishy. Thank you.
No?
How's it going?
It's good.
Nice and juicy. You see how much juice is in there? There's a lot. A lot of juice.
Meeting stomp කරපු grapes.
Banana squishy grape.
Magnolia?
Squishy.
Many magnolia in Sochi. Like yes, many magnolia.
අපි අර barrel roll කර අන්න එහෙම. Barrel rolling.
Huh?
Barrel rolling. සෙල්ලමක් තියෙනවා. ඒක නම කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා දන්නේ නැහැ.